Joining us now on Newsmax TV is best-selling author, former Reagan policy analyst, and King's College president, Dinesh D'Souza, here to talk about his controversial new book, The Roots of Obama's Rage. Dinesh, thank you for joining us.
Nice to be on the program.
Now, the premise of your book is that President Obama is driven to fulfill his father's dreams of fighting neo-colonial powers by redistributing wealth to the disadvantaged. People might be surprised to learn that your primary source was actually Obama's own book, Dreams of My Father. Tell us about that.
Well, Obama wrote two books. The second one is a very political book, very carefully crafted, and it was written when he was clearly jumping into the political arena. But the first book, Dreams from My Father, was published first in 1995 when Obama was still a state senator, and he had been working on it really since he got out of Harvard Law School. So it's a very revealing book in that it's a search for himself, really. And the title of the book is itself significant. Not Dreams of My Father. He's not writing about his father's dreams, but Dreams from My Father, meaning here are the dreams Obama got from his father. And in the book, Obama basically says, I'd never had my father. My father was sort of an absentee father. Came to visit him really only once when he was 10 years old. But Obama says, my life was a quest to find this man. And there's a great scene toward the end of the book where Obama goes to his father's grave and weeps and basically touches the ground. And he says that through the earth I communed with my father. So in a sense, he's sort of saying, look, I don't have my father. I can't recover my father's body, but I can, in a sense, imbibe his spirit. I can take his dreams, his vision, his ideology. And then, of course, you have to ask, who was his father? And his father, it's well known, was an anti-colonialist. He came of age in Kenya during the great struggles in Africa for liberation from European rule. And by the way, the reason I know about all this is I'm an immigrant to America from India. I was born in 1961, the same year as Obama, and I grew up in India in the aftermath of Indian independence. So anti-colonialism is what my father believed and my grandfather. So this is the air that I breathed as a young boy growing up in Bombay in the 1960s and 70s. So the moment I saw Obama talking about all this, I said, wait a minute, I know this world very well. It's my world. And I think the beauty of it is that once you accept Obama's own testimony that he got his ideas from his dad, you have an amazingly effective framework to explain what Obama is doing and will do in the future.
Dinesh, your book drew national attention last week when former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who read of your theories in a recent Forbes cover story, said Obama's stewardship over America reflects, quote, Kenyan anti-colonial behavior, unquote. In your view, was Gingrich essentially correct in his assessment?
He was. Now, Gingrich kindly said that my Forbes article, which was kind of a summary or a preview of the book, was the most insightful and profound look at Obama that he has seen in 6 years. And I think what he meant by this is that, there are all these theories to explain Obama. In the business world, people say, well, maybe he's just clueless about business. Or maybe he's kind of a quasi-socialist, not a Marxist, but a kind of a European-style socialist. On the conservative side, people say, well, maybe he's some kind of a Muslim. Why else would he endorse the Ground Zero Mosque? Why else is he trying to give constitutional protections to jihadis fighting against America? And the beauty of the anti-colonial theory is it explains the facts much better. The other theories are like hammers. They work a little bit, but you have to sort of beat the data to try to fit it into the theory. But the anti-colonial theory works marvelously. It's like a key that turns the lock. So when Gingrich says Kenyan anti-colonialism, remarkably, the White House press secretary Robert Gibbs jumped out and accused Gingrich of raising the so-called birther issue, which is to say, was Obama born in the United States or not? But this was a red herring, because my article and my book have nothing to do with where Obama was born. It has to do with the ideology that he adopted from his father. So the birther issue is completely irrelevant. Kenyan anti-colonialism is a way of thinking. It's a way of thinking that says the world is divided into two: the colonizers and the colonized, or the oppressors and the oppressed. And that within the colonizing countries, you have powerful corporations, big banks, pharmaceutical companies, energy companies, and these are profit-making, exploiting institutions. So if you look at what Obama's doing, he's doing what his father wanted to do, which is to decolonize the world, which is essentially to look at the powerful colonial powers. Now, they used to be Europe, the British, the French, or the Dutch, and so on. But of course, the big power today is not Europe, it's America. So what is Obama doing? He's, in a sense, trying to decolonize American actions in the world, get us out of Afghanistan, out of Iraq, reduce America's energy consumption. And then within America, he's targeting the rich, the elites, the corporations, the banks, the healthcare industry, the energy industry, and he's not trying to get rid of it. He's not trying to nationalize it, kind of like a socialist would do. Rather, he's trying to bring it under the reign of the government. He's trying to decolonize these institutions by basically putting their work to the service of the state. Of course, the state run in effect by him. So this is decolonization. It's not really socialism.
Does your perspective on Obama's worldview explain that rather unusual action that he took? Almost the first thing he did when he moved into the Oval Office was he had a bust of Winston Churchill removed and sent back to the UK.
In the book, I have 24 incidents like this. I'll focus on this one since you ask about it. But what's interesting about these incidents is that no rival theory can explain them. The facts are these. Obama walks into the Oval Office. He discovers soon enough that there's a statue, a bust of Churchill, donated by the British, and of course intended to symbolize the special relationship between Britain and the United States. So Obama says, I want to send this back. Let the British take it back. So the British are a little embarrassed. They say, well, Obama, if you want to have a different statue up there, Martin Luther King or something, why don't you just put the statue in the vice president's office or somewhere else in the federal government? But Obama says, no, I insist it basically be returned. So very embarrassed, the British take the statue back, and it's now sitting in the home of the British ambassador in Washington, D.C. Now, why would anyone do this? I mean, if you're a socialist, it's not exactly socialist behavior. And I think the answer to it is very simple. Most Americans think of Churchill as the guy who sustained Britain during the dark night of the Nazis. But growing up in India, as I did, we read about Winston Churchill meeting Mahatma Gandhi and saying after that, I will not be the prime minister who presides over the decline of the British Empire. Churchill was also, by the way, the prime minister of Britain during a freedom uprising called the Mau Mau Revolt in Kenya, where Obama's father and grandfather were both thrown in jail. So, in other words, Churchill was, from the anti-colonial point of view, a villain, a champion of the empire. And this, of course, would, in a minute, and completely explain Obama's relentless hostility, not only to Churchill, but to the British more generally. He's always insulting the British. When the Queen of England came to visit, he gave her an iPod. I mean, she already has an iPod. He also, in a similar way, insulted the British former Prime Minister, Gordon Brown. During the recent oil spill, he kept using the phrase British Petroleum, even though the company has long since changed its name to BP. So this kind of gratuitous kind of insults, which the British press have noticed but have not been able to explain, is completely explained by the anti-colonial theory.
Now, a lot has been made of the president's so-called global apology tour. How does that fit into this neo-colonial theory about him?
It fits in beautifully for this reason, that the neo-colonial, or the anti-colonial assumption is that the baton of Western leadership has passed from Europe to America. Of course, in the old days, it was the Europeans who were the colonizers. But since World War II, America has been the superpower. But even then, for a few decades, American power was balanced by the Soviet Union. It was only when the Cold War ended that America emerged as the sole superpower. And it's only at 9/11 that you may say the American rogue elephant was, this is from the anti-colonial point of view, unleashed on the world. So I think that this is one reason, for example, that Obama wants a ground zero mosque, because for him, that 9/11, it was a kind of tragedy, not only in its loss of life, but also in unleashing, if you will, the American monster to then stampede around the planet. So what Obama is, in a sense, trying to do is corral in America, to pull America back. So people are, in a way, puzzled by Obama. They say, how come he's not trying to stop the Iranians from building a nuclear bomb? And the answer is, from the anti-colonial point of view, the Iranians are trying to build one bomb, but the Israelis have a bunch of bombs, and America, of course, has the most number of bombs. We have thousands of warheads. So the anti-colonialists would say it's far more important to reduce the American arsenal than to worry about the Iranians going from 0 to 1.
Also, Dinesh, in your book, you say that Obama's dream is America's nightmare. What exactly do you mean by that? How is Obama's dream a nightmare for the average American?
Obama's dream is a nightmare for two reasons. One is America is needed today to be, if you will, the protector of the world economy. You know, we think of trade as being self-sustaining, but it isn't. Merchants can't defend themselves. They need to be protected. They need policemen. And in some senses, you may say, however reluctantly, America is the world's policeman. America is the force keeping North Korea from invading South Korea, or keeping the Muslims from setting off explosives throughout the region, or attacking attacking Israel. America is playing the policeman role between India and Pakistan, is checking the growing power of China. So if Obama, in a sense, is trying to make America, quote, a normal country, which is to say not a superpower, not a world leader, that's very dangerous for the world and dangerous to our security in a dangerous world. I think second is that Obama, by targeting the banks, the corporations, Wall Street, the industries, the wealthy, etc., is essentially risking the engines of prosperity in America. We're in a very tough, competitive world in which China, India, Brazil, Indonesia, a lot of these emerging markets, which, by the way, many of these are the former colonized countries, but they're now growing rapidly, 5%, 8%, 12%. They're growing much faster than America. The Chinese are building cities that are larger and glitzier than most of the cities in America. So if America, we have the leadership role in the world now, but it's not going to last forever. And his history says that once a leading power drops into second or third or fourth place, you never get back up again. Look at what happened to the ancient Greeks or the Romans or even the British. The sun eventually set on the British Empire, and the British haven't come back, and I don't think will. So the point is that we are in a tough struggle here as Americans, but Obama, far from helping us win this fight, I think is actually pulling us down. He's pulling us down in terms of America's influence in the world. He's weakening our economy and reducing our ability to compete in the world. So this is why the Obama dream, in which Obama is, in a sense, living in the time machine created by his father a half-century ago, this has become an American nightmare.
Fascinating perspective. Dinesh D'Souza, King's College president and author of the engaging new book, The Roots of Obama's Rage. Thank you for joining us, Dinesh.